Right, we're going to hop right onto our third session this morning, and then we'll have a quick coffee break next door. We're switching gears a little bit now, and obviously there's the underlying AI theme, as you'll probably see a lot of over the next day and a half for the remainder of the sessions anyway. But I'd like to introduce Ryan Slipakoff, who's founded an organization called United Logic. Ryan's actually going to be presenting around individual augmentation versus enterprise exponentiality, why your AI investment isn't delivering faster, and how to fix it. So I know some of you that have been at the event before may be familiar with Ryan. He's been very active in this space and been kind enough to join us as a presenter as well. In common theme, Ryan's fun fact is he once cooked dinner for Mr. Rogers, who apparently enjoyed the meal, and Ryan believes Mr. Rogers' kids look very much like younger versions of himself. So I'll leave that for a fellow conversation starter later on. Yeah, right. Please join me in welcoming Ryan as our next speaker this morning.
Excellent. So we're going to make it really practical today. A lot of people talk about AI in big theoretical terms. I think a lot of us have made a lot of huge investments, and then I feel like we're kind of approaching the flywheel, the part of the flywheel where we're in the trough of disillusionment a little bit. So I wanted to give you guys some really practical ways to assess who you're partnering with, what your approach is this something that can actually scale and deliver value to my organization? Who here has ever been in Europe, been on a train? It's amazing, right? You're flying down across these gorgeous scenery at like 200 miles an hour. You drink a bottle of wine. Next thing you know, you're 3 countries over. It's outstanding. And similarly, I think the New Jersey transit trip from Philadelphia to New York, equally special, but a little different. And I think the difference there is really like, it's not that we can't build fast trains or even great trains. We're a technology leader. The problem is we haven't rethought the entire ecosystem under which those trains operate and made that investment and kind of thought it through holistically. So the goal of this session is really 3-part. One, to help you kind of think differently about evaluating your AI solutions, understand the difference between the individual tools that you're using and what actually works for enterprise, and have the right mindset to, when you're doing things that are supposed to solve a problem, understand if that's going to later be part of a larger organization's solution or other systems, and how to prepare for that so that it actually can scale. So we're going to start off with a couple key questions and challenges, but don't worry, there's solutions too. The first thing I see, pilots everywhere. Every brand is spending money. Every pocket of the organization is spending money. They're looking at one piece of the problem. This is healthcare. It is big, it is complex, it is interdependent, and so are the systems within your organization. If you're going to build a pilot, build it with the understanding of what it will take to scale that, or understand that a pilot the purpose could just be, does this work, and is it worth investing in a pilot that could actually scale? An example, like you can make a paper airplane, and that can prove the principles that flight is possible. If you're like, cool, that worked, you're not like, now let's scale it up and open United Airlines, right? You have to build differently when you're preparing to scale, but you did prove the principle of flight. The other thing is who you're partnering with. And I've been on the services side quite a bit. It's interesting because I've been the one in these paradoxes. I'm on the technology side, so I can speak freely. Does your partner have a true end-to-end understanding of the environment in which they're acting? A lot of times now, it's really tricky. Suddenly, people who have never coded a bit in their life and have no idea about architecture or anything like that can build software, or at least something that feels like software. The reality is that is at a point going to come into collision with your IT organization, and that's what you need to be prepared for. So my goal here is to kind of give you the right ears and the right kind of critical thinking skills to select solutions that it's possible to scale. Another one, and it's a big one, is the issue of a conflict of interest. How many times I've walked into a company and I said, what are you doing with AI? Or we're really working on AI. We want to be more efficient. I'm like, cool. I mean, I've worked for big consulting firms like Accenture. Like, you might be a double diamond client, which means you spend $200 million a year. Now you're going to give me a $2 million project that figures out how to cut that in half. Doesn't seem like our interests are really fully aligned. So really think through, am I a time and materials model, and I'm asking this same person who's on that model to figure out how to spend less time? Maybe not the right partner for that, or change the business model with which you engage them. The other thing is integrations, right? This is something like non-IT people don't usually think of, and I'm not trying to get too deep in the weeds of understanding IT people, but understanding their perspective a bit will help you to be able to work better and partner better with them. Every time that they put a new system in, they have to think about, how does this affect all of the other systems, right? The way they talk to each other, the way I maintain them operating, the way I protect our security across all these systems. The truth is, even for established systems like an Adobe or a Salesforce, which are vetted, et cetera, they still might not take a release. They do scheduled releases. You might not take that release because you're not ready to make the commitment to change, not only that new version, but all those systems you're now going to have downstream effect. A lot of the partners we're currently partnering with, these new to tech partners, aren't really thinking about that. It's not even in their consciousness. We call that a shadow integration, and understanding the blast radius of, if I change this one thing, what other things will it affect? And then we need to be process aware. The other challenge I see, and this is not something that's like holding things back so much as making the impact less than it could be, is our current organizational structure. If you think about it, most organizations, whether you're on the services side or whether you're within pharma, you're structured around core capabilities and kind of subject matter expertise, and then enablement layers, right? So you have medical communications, you have brands, and you have market access, and then you have technology. And it didn't work so great in the omni-channel world as you started to get fuzzier between those. And now with AI, it's really even more things are possible, and long-held limitations are no longer true. So you have to really re-examine those borders and really start to partner across. It's been my experience that whether you're creating a product with a good moat, or whether you are trying to build something that really solves the big, hairy, audacious problems for pharma, the problem usually lies across the silos, not within. And when you have someone that's just, how can AI help you while I'm trying to do this, it really ends up with a very incremental approach and an incremental impact. And so how do we fix this, right? Steps, anyway. I think making evaluation easy and clear, kind of having a vetting organization to say, who could benefit from this? Who could be affected by this? Who do you need to support this? And does this make sense? Do we have another project that's identical to this down the hallway, or that could be brought together? Building cross-functional pods. We're starting to work across areas, right? Again, even at the brand level, you've got people that can make code with Cursor or Claude Code. Aligning perspectives before you start to build, and really exploring the bigger picture with your colleagues and seeing, is there a bigger problem we can solve, one that maybe we've given up on in the past. For the next part, I wanted to talk about something that most people don't think about. And I was talking to someone that's kind of a thought leader in this space, and he was like, I've never thought about this. It's a couple things that'll really shift, hopefully, your perspective. It's a little deep, but I hopefully make it a little approachable, because AI's given us all superpowers, right? I can build an app, you can build an app, none of us knew code. But with that, we don't know our limitations. And with great power comes great responsibilities. So one thing that I was not aware of until I kind of started working deeper into tech and started working with my co-founders is the difference between probabilistic and deterministic. We don't really think, most people don't think about that. So probabilistic is most of the tools that you're using today. Essentially, very educated guesses, identifying patterns of things. A great example of this is, maybe you want to say, build me a Lego block. And it'll say, well, most people that want a Lego block want this shape, they want this size, they want this kind of connection, et cetera. But if I do that again, it might give me a different answer. It's probabilistic. It's trying to optimize. The deterministic is by a set of rules. Every time I ask you for a Lego block, I'd like you to configure it like this, because this is what we're building with today, or in the future, or 2 years from now. Very different, and they have different implications. When you're thinking about adding probabilistic, and I see companies, like Lovable, a big company, right? Build a website, drag and drop, super easy. Now I see they're going after enterprise business, and you're like, that's definitely not an enterprise platform. And that's a big scale. When you start to add probabilistic inputs into an enterprise, you start to create junk code, because it's guessing at the right thing, and then it's making a leap to get you there, and then you fix it a little, but it creates a lot of junk code. Someone has to go through all that. So you're kind of trading front-end ease for back-end chaos. It also creates a lot of, and we've seen some examples of this in the news, backdoors for bad actors to enter the organization, security breaches, et cetera. And also starts to break down your integrations. All these different platforms that are owned by different people, that are run by different companies, all have to work together seamlessly. And with that, I wanted to kind of categorize this into 3 categories. So as you're thinking about what is the right horse for the course or train for the track, individual tools, there are also wrappers for your frontier models, and then there are true agentic enterprise platforms. The first one's kind of easy to understand. The second 2 often get blurred, but they shouldn't. So in the first one, it's individual tools. I want to make a train, and I want it to just ride me around in circles. It's enhancing what I can do as an individual. Exciting, fun. I can build an entire deck without hiring a designer. Awesome. I can think faster. I can organize. I can seek and find information. This is great. It doesn't affect anyone else. It doesn't have to get built into any kind of workflows. I just noticed that there's a screen in front of me. It doesn't have to be built into any kind of regulated workflows, et cetera. So it doesn't affect any downstream systems or people. The next one's a little trickier. So the next one's what we call a wrapper. So essentially you're taking something like Claude Code and you're adding kind of a functional expertise to that, adding the wisdom of this is a specialized version of Claude Code that you're going to use to accomplish this task, say design. And most people that design, here's best practices for design. So it's essentially still guessing, but it's giving you the right questions to get you further down that funnel towards a better and more consistent product. But it is still track dependent, meaning dependent on all the systems underneath. It does help you to ask the right questions, and it builds in that wisdom, but it is not built for enterprise. There's examples of this in my business, things like Gradial or companies like that, where they feel like they're doing the right thing, and they are fairly consistent. It actually takes a little bit of time of using these to start to see it break down or create downstream effects, because at first it's just working so much better than just using individual tools. Then the other nice thing about that is it starts to let you collaborate with peers in a more consistent way. The final one is enterprise agentic platform. So if you think about that version, that was about how go from just I want to ride a train in my backyard to, hey, I'm riding a train through an unoccupied space and I don't have to worry about hitting anything or working around anything. But that's not how most of our trains operate, right? If you're going through New York City, you have tunnels, you've got buildings, you've got roads. Not only that, but they're all changing. IT's constantly doing new rollouts. Each platform's constantly changing. So you need to be able to adapt with that. And that's what enterprise platforms are truly built for. They have deterministic control, so it's actually following the rules that your organization knows will be consistent. And has system-wide intelligence, understanding of everything that's going on around it. And it also helps you make expert-informed decisions. So instead of saying, like for us, we help build websites with AI. Like instead of saying, how would you like this built? Or just guessing how you'd like it built, and there's like 5 options, and then if you guess the wrong one, we have to fix it later in post. Here it's asking an expert, there are 5 different ways you could do this. Which is the right path that you'd like to take? And keeping that expert in the loop. That is the difference between an enterprise platform, and that means that once he or she has built that, it's good to go and ready for production. So a couple takeaways here is when you're building something, when you're investing in something, when you're getting pitched something, think about, is this local or is this enterprise? Is this about enhancing my individuals that are doing a job, or is this supposed to elevate a team? Is this supposed to elevate our entire organization? It's going to have a lot of kind of interconnections. Start with the work and workflow. Too often I hear the words, could we use AI to ... You're already on the wrong path. The right path is understanding what is the work that we currently do, What would we like to be doing? What all has to be done? And use AI as sparingly as possible. The truth is, it's actually getting much more expensive, right? It's no longer being subsidized, so the price of compute's going up. So we already fired everybody, built AI into all of our systems without worry. And we helped to compress the cost of them in our platform. And at first, an IT leader told me, Ryan, no one cares about that. Suddenly they do. Someone just got a $500 million bill for compute costs, unexpectedly. Not cool. So, and now you've already built it in, you've already laid off your people, and you're like, oh, it's not so cheap anymore. Approach the problems holistically. Make sure you're really looking at the problem end to end, the partners end to end, internally and externally, and choose the right AI solution for the right partner. Here's the shameless plug. My company helps to make content management systems faster, better, cheaper. You guys, if you're marketers, you're probably always frustrated with how long it takes to build websites. If you're IT leaders, you're paying millions of dollars for these offshore delivery companies that take forever. We help you to, whether you're on Adobe or whether you're on Contentful, or we have some new ones coming up soon. How do you make it fast and easy to change your customer experiences in a quick, easy, and less expensive way? Any questions?
All right. Yeah, any quick questions for Ryan before we break out? Sorry, you caught me off guard there, Ryan. I was going to...
Oh, the questions is you.
Yes, Rich. I actually love the notion of rethinking the tracks.
Right.
Because does anybody know how the width of train tracks was established? It is the average width of two horses' butts side by side. It goes all the way back to when we had chariots. And so I just wanted to make a comment. I love that
cool.
notion because we're confining ourselves by not rethinking the tracks themselves.
I love that.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, let's give Ryan a round of applause. Thank you. Right, so we're making good time. We're going to take a quick morning coffee break now. I know there's been some folks that have been flowing in this morning as well. So if you haven't done so already, head next door, grab yourself some coffees, get a chance to meet with some of our exhibitors this morning. I know we've got Q Pharma, Viva Ostro, Live World, etc. We'll reconvene at 11 a.m. sharp for our next session. So we've got about 30 or so minutes. And if you haven't done so, grab your name badge and conference documentation as well at the far table. And we'll see you back shortly.